Hello there everybody, this is Graham, also known as the Collector75, and welcome back to part 13 of my Transformers Marvel UK comic reviews. And after the earth-shattering events of the past few issues, we start here on issue 121, cover date the 11th of July 1987, and we go back to one of the most shittest characters ever, as far as I'm concerned. And here we have Goldbug and Blaster have sort of like teamed up and are on the run kind of from Grimlock, who is the current leader of the Autobots. And we have the mechanic with some of the weapons that he stole off Ratchet a few issues ago, and he set himself up as some sort of crime lord. A very uninteresting story if you ask me. But here we go, he's just sort of like, he's got the cryo blasters and laser scalpel that he nicked off Ratchet, and he takes apart some of the army people, nicks loads of bits, and is going to create his own sort of like personalised army and sell them to local crime lords and stuff. And here we have the Grimlock showcasing his crown, many different crowns that he was trying, which of course they did reproduce one of them for the Masterpiece Grimlock, of course, where he crushes the others and sticks with that one, and that's the one that was reissued. And there we go, he sends Goldbug and Blaster after someone. I believe it was the mechanic. Yeah, he wants him to go and kill the mechanic, which they don't actually believe in, but they go and try and track him down anyway. As the story goes on, this obviously crime bloke doesn't get on with the mechanic too well, so he scraps his car. Yeah, really, if I do sound uninterested in this story because I really just could not get on with the mechanic, I thought he was a shit character and never comes about again after this couple of issues, thank God. So we have Grimgrams, another advert for Action Force, and Iron Man is the backup strip, of course. So, there we get the pages. And the next issue is, of course, Goldbug at the mercy of the mechanic. And then we have another Robo Capers. Right, so that was issue 121. It was a bit of a shame, really, after Wanted Galvatron Dead or Alive, that we did have a bit of a lull with these shit fucking issues, if you ask me. Here we go, this is issue 122, and as you can see, it's Goldbug on the disassembly line. And we just have the next, well, the concluding part really. Nothing much happening, it's just that they've tracked him down along with the help of some police, and here we go. This is what these assembly line was actually going to do. It was going to basically just transform some of the crime lords' cars into mechanicals, a bit like the Stealth Force figures that are out at the moment, I think, kind of like that really. As you can see, the policeman has got Blaster and he's smuggled him into the lair of the mechanic. Blah 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 blah, and then he transforms, uses Sonic whatever gun he is on them, and they all sort of malfunction and that. But the mechanic goes to prison in the end, and they say, well, Whitebot headquarters is east, so let's go west, because they don't like Grimlock. And that's it. Really bad one, that one. So there we go, another little Action Force mini comic here. I believe this is written, drawn by Jeff Senior. So it was a British sort of version of it. And we've got a nice bit of Action Force coming up. And the next issue, I quite like the next one, which is Trouble Times 3, which we'll get onto right now. Here we go, with issue number 123. A nice picture there of the Decepticon triple changes. And we start here with, this one's called Crater Critters. And we can see this sort of like what they think is a meteorite falling to Earth. But it's actually some sort of mechanoid, but as you can see, it looks in a bad state of disrepair, and we see one of these, which is going to be called the scraplets, emerging from him. And then we have Blaster and Goldbug catching up with GB Blackrock. Blah blah blah, I can't remember exactly why, can't be that important. Anyway, now as the story goes on, they just basically tell GB Blackrock what they've been getting up to lately, and so forth. And then we go to Cybertron with the Decepticon sort of leader in sort of a way, is Ratbat. And he's ordered the Decepticon triple changes to go to Earth to track down a consignment which they've just sent there to the Earthbound Decepticons. The space bridge emerges and the triple changes get off and make all the local humans flee the scene so they can investigate. And they find this mechanoid saying, no, no, stay away. But he says, well, come on, mate. Wesper, just because you messed up doesn't mean we're going to walk away and pretend this didn't happen. He says, no, no, you don't understand. And suddenly the scraplets basically infect I always forget his name, Blitzwing. And the story goes on. Here we go. A lot of news reporter finds Goldbug and Blaster because they're investigating the so-called meteorite, which they know is basically the Decepticons. And as such, they go and investigate, which is continued next issue. And then we have more Grimgrams, Iron Man, and the next issue, and of course Robo Capers. So let's move on to that next issue, which is number 124. And as you can see, things don't look too good for Blaster. There we go, scrapped by the scraplets. So as you can see, they come along and start investigating the crater. You can see one of the little scraplets there transformed it from the little nut and bolt into this funny little robot, and is about to try and infect them too. Blaster finds the Decepticon triple changers and starts taking them out, but they sort of like basically manage to do away with him there, kind of. And I can't remember this fella's name, but him and Goldbug find this little robot, and he tells them a story that he was hired by the Decepticons to bring this consignment to Earth. Unfortunately, he passed through a dust cloud, or what he thought, but unfortunately it was scraplets, and they infected me. And basically what they do is basically they just eat Transformers, or any kind of robot really. And unfortunately he dies from the infection. And as you can see, loads of the little scraplets there are heading for Goldbug. They're not interested in organic life, just mechanical. And so he tries scrapping them. Unfortunately for Goldbug, he does get infected. As you can see, the Decepticon triple changer there are still using Blaster as target practice. And the army people there aren't impressed. As you can see, eventually you manage to evade them for quite a long while, and then basically falls into a pit full of scraplets, and they infect him. And then they say, "Scraplets are about, you've caught it just like us, and they'll kill you just like us." And he goes, "Unless you find the cure," which is what they want to find. They contact Decepticon headquarters. And now then, basically this guy basically convinces Goldbug not to go and aid Blaster, and Blaster gets the ump about it because he thinks he's deserted him. So this is where he actually sort of like convinces him. He thinks that he's going to help him, but unfortunately he does a runner, and he can't believe it. And there we go. But unfortunately Goldbug gets infected, and he can't do nothing about it. But they drive away into the distance, and now Goldbug is looking very, very dodgy. Unfortunately though, we take a break from this storyline, and we go for one of the best crossovers. Let's see if I can get to it. On the next issue page, which is of course Transformers versus Action Force, the British version of G.I. Joe. And in my opinion, it was one of the best crossovers. So they did cross over quite a few times, but this one is probably the best one. The next one being probably the lead up to Generation 2, that was quite a good one with G.I. Joe. But this one is the best, because it didn't really over-insinuate all certain people meeting certain people like they usually do, but this one just went for good old-fashioned action. This one is called Ancient Relics. It's set in London. This is a number 125, by the way. This is number 125. And as you can see, we're set in the sewers deep beneath London, and this little expedition team investigating these so-called Roman ruins. As they consider move on, saying people haven't been down here for God knows how long, like over in 1,000 years or whatever it is. But they turn down one sort of like dark alley, and they see metallic. Geez, what sort of building is that? But then he notices some damage, looking all too familiar. This story now is going to cause major continuity problems, which doesn't get resolved until about issue number 240 maybe, I think it's like that. But we'll get to that in due time. And as you can see, we see the damaged face of Megatron there. I believe he got this damage from his hook up with the Predacons in about issue 108, I believe. Just after then he destroyed the space bridge, and this is apparently where it brought him. But like I said, we'll get to those continuity problems a bit later on. Right, so there we go, and then he smashes the sort of the buildings around him, killing the rest of humans apart from this lady here. And Grimlock here has just ordered Wheeljack to finish repairing Centurion after he was destroyed by Galvatron in issue 101. And now he says they found Goldbug and Blades, because of course they deserted. And he says Blades has found them in London. because he's found a Transformers signal. And he says, wrong, I didn't actually find him, I just found someone's signal. So he goes to investigate, but also now, thanks to this lady contacting the authorities, they've sent Action Force to investigate her claims of a monster deep beneath London. It's a bit strange why they sent Action Force and not someone else, but there we go. As you can see, now we start introducing us to some of the Action Force members. And there we go. Now here comes Blades, and this woman's mistaken Blades for the monster that attacked them. And so Action Force duly attack Blades. And Blades gets the right up, and as it fires his bright, I don't know, blinding weapon. But until he realises that he's an Autobot and they don't kill humans. And he says, oh yeah, what about the others? What about the others you attacked? Don't they count? And this woman finally realises that that's not the Transformer that attacked her. And he says, move, woman, move, because he's just been hit by a blast. And then he says, oh no, there, that's not the one that attacked us, that is. He goes, but what is it? And he goes, the name, fleshling, is Megatron. And it says, to be continued in Action Force, which we'll get onto now. And we've got some competition winners there. Iron Man. And of course, in next week's Transformers, we return to the Throttlebots and the story that we just left. But we're going to concentrate on those issues of Action Force for now. So here we are, Action Force number 24. And I had to wait a week for this one, but at least we did get 2 doses of Transformers action for a few weeks. Great little cover, that. And here we are now then. Action Force started doing a runner, being chased by Megatron. They managed to get out of the sewers. Kind of quick recap, and then as soon as they get out of the sewers, they're confronted by Grimlock and Centurion. And he says, I can't believe he's come all this way, I need to find more humans. And he says, blah 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 blah, more backstory. And he says, I think Commander Grimlock, whatever Blades detected underground, is about to make his presence felt. And Megatron blasts through. And he says, what, Autobots? So it's right, you have found me, but how did you know where the dimensional spray would have brought me? And like I say, another bit of continuity error there. But he goes, sir, it matters little. Finding Megatron is one thing, stopping him is another, and he just attracts Grimlock, knocking Centurion out of the way. And here begins quite a few different sort of fights between Grimlock and Megatron, but as usual, Megatron is just far too powerful for Grimlock. But Flint from Action Force is already on the case, and he's called in some wildflies, is it? Can't remember now. But anyway, they start to attack Megatron but do little. And then he blasts the rope ride from Wild Bill, and looks like his helicopter's going down, and he's about to die. We do get a nice little poster there, I think, of, I can't remember what. Oh, there we go, yeah, the dragonfly. Let's move quickly on. Here we go, issue number 25. And this is Wild Bill going down. Blades resurfaces from under the water there, from the sewers. And a quick recap of what's been going on before. And we find Megatron tussling with Grimlock. Centurion trying to catch the helicopter containing Wild Bill. But Blades manages to save the day. No problem there. Flint, however, calls in the Maulers because he's just about had enough. Just as Megatron is about to finish off Grimlock once and for all, the Maulers move in and attack Megatron. And he says basically to Flint, goes, no, you shouldn't have done that because those Maulers, it's just going to make him mad. Don't ask me what goes on in the rest of this Action Force comic. I was never really into Action Force, to be honest. Now then we come to this issue, which is just called Mauled. Issue number 26. Issue number 25, which I just reviewed actually. I only actually just recently bought that, because I did have, if I can find it quickly, I did have it hanging around. Which I did have this one. This was the Action Force Monthly, which reprinted this story, Ancient Relics. I did have, actually I had to buy that because I never managed to find the issue number 25 in the news agents. So here we go, issue number 26, Mauled. And Megatron now is just decimating everyone. It shows that Megatron is just dead hard, unstoppable, and which I loved about Megatron really. As you can see, it just goes on now. Centurion doesn't know what to do. He's still controlled by Professor Morris, even though he seems to have more of a personality in this one. And we never ever see Professor Morris again. But Grimlock gets up, hates the fact he's just been beaten by Megatron, and again just goes and tries to do him up. As you can see now then, they sort of manoeuvre Megatron into some natural gas, which we're going to come to in a second, in the second part. second part and the next part even. So that's the end of that one. And we move on to the final issue, which I'll be reviewing now, which is Action Force number 27, just entitled there Doomwatch. We get some nice little aeroplanes, Sky Strikers, Grimlock and Megatron tussling near the natural gas works. And basically Centurion now is going to make a decision, because Grimlock was going to face off against Megatron, or was rather, and they were just going to kill them both, Megatron and Grimlock together, but Centurion knows that they need Grimlock, whereas he doesn't care because he's just Professor Morris. So Blades gets Grimlock out of the way, Sky Strikers detonate the gas works, hopefully taking Megatron and Centurion with them, but unfortunately, as you can see, we see them tussling there and they fall into the River Thames, never to be seen again. And here we have Blade and Flint saluting them. And that's the end of Ancient Relics. And the last of Megatron for a while. Now he does get pulled out the Thames, we shall soon see. And that's it. That's the end of that issue number 27. And this has been the end of part 13, and I shall see you all next time. Bye for now.